It hit me like a slap in the face. I had given 5 years to this company, pouring everything into my work. And yet, when it finally came time for the promotion I had earned, my boss, Elaine, looked me in the eye and told me, in no uncertain terms, that my performance was adequate. Not exceptional, not outstanding, just adequate. I sat there, numb, trying to process her words. But nothing could prepare me for that moment. I had worked overtime, solved problems no one even knew existed, and kept the company's most important client, Ellison Enterprises, happy. And this was my reward, being told I wasn't ready for senior management. It stung, but the worst part? I knew she was wrong. My name is Liam Carlton. I'm 32 years old, and for the past 5 years, I've been a dedicated employee at Meridian Solutions. You could say I was the backbone of the company, the one who made sure everything ran smoothly behind the scenes. I wasn't the loudest person in the room, but I got things done. I was the guy who stayed late to fix a broken system, who solved problems that no one else even knew existed, and who managed our most high-profile client with precision and care. But that wasn't enough for Elaine. She didn't care about the late nights, the overtime, or the way I went above and beyond to keep things running. She didn't care about the fact that I had saved our biggest account, time and time again. All she cared about was who was visible, who could play the political game. And when the senior management position opened up, I thought I had it. I was sure of it. I was the one who had kept the ship afloat, the one who had earned it. But when I sat across from Elaine in her pristine, glass-walled office, she dropped the bomb. "Liam," she said, her voice cool and professional. "I've reviewed your work, and while it's adequate, I don't believe you're ready for senior management. Maybe in another year or two." Adequate. That word echoed in my mind long after the meeting was over. It was a slap in the face. I had poured my heart into this job, and all I had to show for it was adequate. I tried to keep it together in that moment. I nodded, smiled, and left the office without showing how much it hurt. But inside, I was seething. How could she not see it? I was more than adequate. I was the reason this company was still standing. But in that instant, I realized that hard work, dedication, and competence meant nothing if the person doing the work wasn't loud enough to be noticed. I had a choice to make. I could either keep going, putting in the same level of effort, hoping that one day Elaine would see me for what I was worth. Or, I could change things. I could stop being the go-to guy, the one who stayed late, the one who picked up everyone else's slack. I decided to do the latter. If they didn't value me, then I wouldn't give them anything more than what was required. So, I stopped going above and beyond. I did my job, nothing more, nothing less. And as the weeks went by, the cracks began to show. The systems I had been maintaining with such care started to falter. There were delays in projects, technical issues that no one could solve. People started to grumble. "Why isn't Liam handling this? What's going on with the systems? They're all over the place." But I didn't care. I wasn't going to rush to fix problems that no one appreciated. I was done being the invisible person who made everything work behind the scenes. And the more I pulled back, the more people started to realize just how much I had been doing. Then, it happened. One afternoon, Elaine called me into her office. "Liam, we need to talk," she said. I already knew what was coming. The company had finally decided it was time for me to go. "We've reviewed your performance, and we think it's best if you leave," she said, her tone colder than ever. I looked at her, cool and composed. "Elaine," I said, my voice steady, "I have another job offer." Elaine blinked, clearly caught off guard. Her icy demeanor faltered for just a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "What?" she asked, her voice suddenly tight. "You have another job offer?" I nodded. "Yes, I do. And I'm not willing to stay here if you think my contributions are only adequate." The silence between us was thick, heavy with unspoken words. She looked at me, then glanced down at the papers on her desk, as though searching for a way to salvage the situation. But in that moment, I realized something crucial. The power had shifted. I wasn't the one desperate to stay. I wasn't the one who needed validation anymore. I could see the tension in her face. She had spent the last 5 years ignoring me, taking me for granted, and now, as I sat there, ready to walk away, she realized what she was losing. But it was too late. I wasn't the same Liam who had put in the extra hours without asking for anything in return. I wasn't the same guy who had tried so hard to prove myself. Elaine sighed. "What do you want me to do, Liam? We've made our decision. You can take your offer and go if that's what you want." Her words stung, but they were a final confirmation that I wasn't going to get the recognition I deserved from her. I stood up, slowly, with purpose. I want a job that values me. I want a company that understands what I bring to the table. And I'm not going to beg for it. I turned to walk out, but before I left, I paused at the door and added, "By the way, I've already talked to Byron. I'm sure he'll be happy to offer me something more fitting." Byron was the regional director, one of the few people in the company who actually saw the value in what I did. We'd always had a good working relationship, and I knew he respected my contributions, even if Elaine didn't. I left Elaine's office and immediately called him. "Byron, it's Liam. I need to talk." Within an hour, I was sitting in his office, explaining the situation. He listened intently and, as always, had a way of cutting straight to the heart of the matter. After a brief silence, he leaned forward, eyes glinting with something I hadn't expected: opportunity. "I think we can do better for you, Liam," Byron said. "How does the position of Director of Operational Systems sound? Double the salary, full remote flexibility, and the authority to redesign the department's workflows to make them work for you, not the other way around." I couldn't help but smile, but I kept my excitement in check. This was the opportunity one had been waiting for. But there was one condition I wanted before I made my decision: Elaine would remain in her current role. I had no intention of allowing my personal feelings to interfere with the company's success, and I didn't want to burn bridges. But I knew I couldn't work under her again in a senior role. Byron didn't hesitate. Done. That evening, I called my sister. "Amelia, I've been offered the position. But I need to make sure I'm making the right choice. What do you think?" She was silent for a moment. "Liam, you've worked for years, sacrificing yourself for this company. Don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. This new position is everything you've worked for." Her words solidified my decision. I was going to take the job. But this time, I was going to set the terms. And for once, it wasn't about playing by anyone else's rules. It was about building my own path, on my terms. In the months that followed, my transformation was undeniable. The department thrived under my leadership. We implemented new systems, streamlined operations, and saved the company from several near disasters. The work that had once been chaotic and inefficient was now running like a well-oiled machine. I brought in a team of people I could trust, people who understood what it meant to be valued, and together, we built something bigger than just one person's efforts. Eventually, my work was recognized. I wasn't just the guy behind the scenes anymore. I was the one driving the changes, the one with the vision. And in a twist of fate, I was promoted to Vice President of Operations. But the real victory wasn't the title. It was the lesson I learned about self-advocacy. I had spent so long waiting for Elaine to see my worth, but in the end, I was the one who had to prove it to myself. I had to show the world, especially myself, that I didn't need permission to be great. I had to create my own opportunities and stop waiting for someone else to validate me. And the best part? I now have the power to ensure that others aren't overlooked the way I was. I implemented a training program to help future employees find their voice, demonstrate their value, and never settle for being adequate. So, was I wrong for walking away? For standing up for myself when it felt like no one else would? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I take the right path, Or should I have stayed and fought for a promotion that might never come?